of this thing called conditioning. We'll prove it from the Bible. Prove it from the Bible. We'll prove it from some facts that we're going to look at. Then we'll prove it from the Word of God what He says to do about it. Or what He said, how He says that actually occurs. Does that make sense? Because I can't really get into the rest of this without, because here's what I'm going to say. I don't want people to hear somebody else. I'm not interested in you listening to this message for yourself. And if I'm not careful, people will check themselves out of what I'm talking about because you'll start thinking or saying to yourself, you don't have any of this in you, but I'm here to tell you, you do. So I'm kind of setting this up with the idea that I want you to look at you and not necessarily your neighbor or the person who's not here, who you knows need to hear this. All right? So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. And we already said the biggest deception is to get you to believe that you're not deceived, that you don't have it, right? Nobody runs from a building if they don't really believe it's on fire. You know, most of us, and I've had it happen here. The fire alarm go off, and I don't even move. Why? I don't believe that building's on fire. That sounds dumb. Sounds crazy. Yeah, see, I'm gonna help you because it's gone off enough times where it hadn't been a fire that we know that either something's happened, something's going over the alarm company because it's likely not a fire. Now, we've had a fire. We have had a fire here before. Y'all didn't know that, but we did. But I'm trying to prove a point. Matter of fact, the fire alarm goes off, and I don't know that anybody that's ever run out of the building that I know of that works here, full-time staff. There's 11, 12, 13, 14 people in the building at all times. I don't see nobody run out the building. You know why? Because they don't believe it's going to burn down. It's not about the building, it's about what's going on. Because if I don't believe it's a fire, why would I respond to it? If I don't believe I have it, if I don't believe I have something, you can tell me all day long. You can ring all the alarms you want. I'm going to continue to function just like I was functioning before because I'm assuming this has nothing to do with me. Does it make sense? Good. All right, let's talk. Let's talk a little bit. Let's take a look at this now. Go to Daniel. Go to Daniel, chapter 1, verse 2. We're going to set this up. Daniel chapter 1, verse 2. Just want to use this as a backdrop so I can prove something. All right? Daniel chapter 1, verse 2. And when you find it, somebody say amen. All right? Now, got a little bit of ring in there. Take it down just a little bit. All right, now, let me give you a little backdrop. Now, Israel, the children of Israel have been captured by the Babylonians. Okay, they've been taken over. And now they are in what they call subjection. They are being ruled the country with another way of thinking, another order, another way of doing things. Okay? And the king who is in charge right now is King Nebuchadnezzar. But I want you to take a look at what Nebuchadnezzar attempts to do with the children of Israel. This becomes very important because this is still happening right now. Verse 2. Verse 3. Let's start at verse 3. It says, then the king ordered Phinehas, chief of his court's officials, to bring in some of the Israelites from the royal family and the nobility, young men without any physical defect, handsome, showing aptitude for every kind of learning, well-informed, quick to understand, qualified to serve in the king's palace. He was to teach them the language and the literature of the Babylonians. The king assigned them a daily amount of food and wine from the king's table. They were to be trained for 3 years, and after that, they were to enter the king's service. Now, that doesn't strike a lot of people when they read that the way it strikes me, but you have to see what the guy is doing and what he is about to set up. So he has captured Israel. And here is what he says. Okay, this is how I am going to get everybody else to follow a certain order. I'm going to find people people that are attractive, are smart, intelligent, and I'm going to teach them how to be a Babylonian. On top of that, this is called conditioning, I'm going to reward them while they're learning because I'm going to let them eat my food. Then after 3 years, when I got them good and trained, I'm going to put them in front of everybody else. And what everybody else going to see is, I'm like them. So I'll do what they do. I'll go what they go. I'll say what they say. I'll learn what they learn. And now, I don't, listen, I won't have to go and chase all of them down. I'll just grab a few of them, and the rest of them, because they want what they see, will copy everything they see, and before you know it, the whole society will look like these folk. Because they work for me, they eat good, they look good, they dress good. Boy, if you can't see this, you just... What is he doing? Something called conditioning. Something called conditioning, and it's happening right now. It's happening to most people in this room right now. It's happening through the music. It's happening through the news. It's happening in the school system. Check this out. It's happening in your house. It happened with our parents. Nobody grew up without any kind of conditioning. The question is, what kind of conditioning were we exposed to? Some of it was good. Some of it might not have been so good. Some of it might have been good, but not biblical. Ooh, help me, Jesus. Some of it may have been effective, but it did not line up with the word or will of God. And just because it worked does not necessarily mean it should be repeated. I'm preaching good right now. I'm not getting no help. I'm not getting no, just because it worked. See, just because it worked doesn't mean it should be repeated. And so what I'm after is I need us to take a look at a couple of things. Now, this thing is called conditioning. Let me show you what I found out. Conditioning has several interesting definitions. I'm only going to give you two that I'm going to work. One I'm going to work with. I'm just going to give you the other one because I thought it just caught my attention. Conditioning. The first definition of conditioning is this. It says, conditioning means to bring something to a desired state for use. To condition something is to bring it to a desired state for use. Okay, let me see if I can give you a couple examples. An Olympic athlete would condition their bodies for the Olympics to bring their bodies to a state where they could run the 100-meter dash. To bring their body to a state where they could do the decathlon in so many days. They have to condition themselves. Okay? If you couldn't get that one, sometimes if you're a good cook, sometimes meat would need to be, or food be conditioned prior to cooking. They would condition the meat. They would season it. They would tenderize it. You'd soak it in something to get you condition it before it was even cooked. Why? You were trying to bring it to a desired state so you can use it. Old school, when they used to have, they would have to prime a pump to get water out of a well. You would have to sometimes pour water on the pump to prime. What were you? No, all that work was not necessarily, the water wasn't coming out. All of that was to condition the pump so that eventually the water would create pressure, so it would come, but the pump would create pressure so the water would come out. Does that mean? What are you doing? Conditioning it. Bringing it to a desired state of use. Which simply means that at some point, the conditioning is designed to bring you to a place where you function the way the person or persons or entity desired you to be conditioned. Oh boy. Okay. All right. I'm a little ahead of myself. I might as well go here. I say it all the time, and I need us to pay attention. That I love the United States. Wouldn't live anywhere else. But you need to understand how the system works. We are what is called a capitalistic society. We function on capitalism. One of the definitions for capitalism is basically most of the industry is privately owned. It is a system where matter of fact, one of the definitions is economic and political systems are owned or run by private individuals or corporations and not necessarily the state. Okay, so now, in order for there to be capitalism, and you have to have something or somebody to capitalize on. So there has to be some goods, there has to be some services, and then there has to be somebody to work those. So there's got to be an owner. There's got to be a product. There's got to be a consumer. There has to be people who work the product. Society has conditioned some of us to fall in one of those three categories. Some people have the consumer mindset. Okay, Lord, I can really get into this. This is not my lesson. This is not my lesson, but I'm trying to help. How is it that we have some of the richest men were not necessarily, and women, were not necessarily college graduates? And I'm not knocking education. Because I believe you got to be educated, but I need you to see something. Because there's a group that goes to college to own. I'm going to slow it down. There's a group that goes to college with not the mindset to get a job. They go to college to own something. This is just the path that I am going to take that is going to prepare me so that one day I'm not going to get out of here and go work for somebody else. I'm going to college to learn or to acquire something that's going to allow me to own my own when I get out of here. Working is just a means to get to the end, which is ownership, not employment. Okay, Lord, help me, Jesus. Maybe this is too much. Then there's a group that's been conditioned to get a job. So we don't look for ownership. We don't look for opportunities to own. We look for opportunities to work. Because I gotta have owners, I gotta have consumers, and I gotta have workers. Why do y'all think they're not going? Oh boy, I can really get political on you right now. I'm going to do it. I might as well. I'm already over it now. Why do you think they fight with the immigration thing so hard? Because they provide a workforce. They provide cheap labor. Somebody somewhere doesn't want the cheap labor to really go away. They can tell y'all what they want. Y'all can. Let them tell y'all what they want to tell y'all. Why do you think that companies send, including the president, a lot of their work overseas? Because it is cheaper and you can get workers at a discount. I don't have to deal with the union. I don't have to pay you $20 an hour. I don't have to pay you time and a half and double time and overtime. So I would just go find cheap labor. Okay. Because in order for me to make all you gotta do is follow the money. In order for people to make the money, I'm not talking about him. In order for anybody to make the money, I gotta reduce the cost to make the goods so that I can sell the goods to the consumers, so the consumers can keep buying my goods. Just saying. Ain't no food a whole lot of people, but I ain't one of them. I'm trying to help you. And if you don't learn how to understand what we're dealing with, it's not bad. It's not bad. You just need to understand. It's not evil. You just need to understand. It can work if you know how to work it. But if you don't understand it and you refuse to be informed about how the system actually works, you'll be stuck in a pocket that they wanted you to be in anyway. See, they didn't say you could never go from being a worker to an owner. But people are conditioned to be in a certain spot. All right, let me leave that alone. That might be too much for some of y'all. All right. Let's keep dealing. Condition. This is the next one, next definition. In psychology, there is a concept called conditioning. It is a behavioral process whereby a response becomes more frequent and predictable in a given environment as a result of reinforcement. It is a behavioral process whereby a response becomes more frequent and even predictable in a given environment, and it is as a result of reinforcement. They base this assumption on human behavior is learned. So the whole Pavlov theory with the dogs, he learned that when the guy with the lab coat comes in, he brings food. And the only way that works is he actually has to bring the food. I let him bring the food a couple of times. Then I let the guy come in with no food. But the dog's response to the person that came in the door is as if he had food. He has been conditioned to respond to what he sees, even though he doesn't really see what he sees or what he thinks he sees. Does that make sense? He sees somebody coming in. He's associated the white lab coat with dinner, even though there's no dinner with the white lab coat. Does that make sense? Now, let's talk about this. So in order for conditioning to happen, a person's behavior must be reinforced by an experience. Because if it doesn't get reinforced by an experience or is, then there can't be really any conditioning. The enemy really started early and tried to condition us all by reinforcing certain things with certain responses. Okay, let me see if I can give you some examples. Let me give you a couple examples. Okay, let's try this. So you can have a person who has a hard time, maybe even growing up, being heard. Nobody listens to me. Nobody listens to me. I try to talk, but nobody listens to me. And so one day, they go off. I mean, slam lose it. The whole house freezes. They stop. They pay attention. What's wrong? I get services. They respond. They take care of the problem. They do it. I got my situation taken care of. The next time, I try to talk. Nobody listens. I use my inside voice. Nobody listens. I go off again. The house stops. I'm trying to help somebody. They freeze. Somebody comes to me, takes care of my need. What are you training me to do? I'm trying to help somebody right now. So I learned this at home. But now I'm not at home. Now I have my own home. So when nobody listens, I've been conditioned to holler, scream, go off, because that's how I get what I want. Conditioning. You can have situations where somebody gets conditioned that they're not necessarily supposed to get out of a situation and get better. So if you grew up in a certain environment, you grew up doing a certain thing, and if every time you try to get out of there, people said no, then you were conditioned to believe this is as far as I'm supposed to go. Why? Because the reinforcement was every time I tried to do better or get out, I was blocked. You block me enough times, I just stop trying. And I just stay where I am because I've been conditioned that this is all I can do. I'm preaching real good right now. And the enemy doesn't wait till you get saved and get sense and get intellect and find all this out. So he'll start when you're a baby. He'll start when you're young. And he'll try to condition you to a certain way of thinking because the idea is for you to stay where you are and never to come out of the little sandbox that you are in right now. And to think that he won't come after you young is a lie because he tried to take Jesus out when he was a child, tried to take Jesus out before he was even born. Then after he was born, he still tried to come get him again. Those wise men weren't at the first one coming to worship Jesus. That guy was trying to send those dudes there to take him out. He wanted to find out where he was. Herod wanted to get rid of him. He knew what he was supposed to do. Being conditioned. I'm preaching good right now. Ain't nobody shouting. And that's good, but I need you to be thinking. Because I got something at the end that you got to ask yourself. Now, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Matter of fact, I'll use this. You've seen conditioning. That's good, Holy Ghost. You've seen conditioning. You've seen it. All right? There is no intention to make fun of a person or people. Well, I'm about to give some examples. I have no one on my mind. Okay? But I have to use what I know. And I have to use what you know. Okay? And so now, you've seen conditioning. And I'm going to show you how conditioning shows when conditioning is most obvious. It is when the person who has been conditioned is not in the environment where the conditioning is conducive. So when you get me outside of the environment that I've been conditioned in, my conditioned response stands out like a sore thumb. We call it now, sometimes in some environment, we'll call it being ghetto. I'm preaching good. You ain't got to say nothing. Preaching good. I'm preaching good. We call it being ghetto. This ain't got nothing to do with a person, but you going to understand because we've seen, because I got to get you to be able to see conditioning and what conditioning looks like. You call it. We call it. We have all used the terminology. That's ghetto. What does that mean? What does that mean? Let me give you some examples because you can see it. See, listen. Help me, Jesus. I'm trying to be as tactful as I can. When you see a young lady out in the store with a bonnet on, house shoes, and pajama pants in Walmart, we're laughing, but I need us, it's comical, I get it. I want us to be, but I need you to see something. Somewhere there is an environment that person came out of where that dress style is acceptable to go out in because everybody else that lives around me does that. So now I am not in that environment now, and so when I go into a different environment, because I am always where my head is, and if my head is back over here, my outfit is going to reflect where my thinking is, because I've been conditioned that just because I'm running to the store, I can go out looking like this. It is a byproduct of being conditioned. Because you're not where that is acceptable. But you brought it with you because it's in your head. me, Jesus. Okay. And I could keep going down the list. I could pull out more of them. It's conditioning. We've seen it. Somebody moved to a nice neighborhood. They come up. Everybody else in the neighborhood house, they cut their grass. But there's always one house. They got cars parked in the yard. They got a driveway, but they got cars in the driveway and then cars in the grass. And then they got other stuff in the front yard that doesn't really belong in the front yard, that really should be in the backyard. Y'all ain't talking to me. Now, nobody else's house in the neighborhood looks like that. Everybody else's car are parked in the driveway or they parked on the street. And if they got an extra car, old car, it's in the backyard where you can't see it. But that is a learned behavior, because where you came from or what you were exposed to said that doing this was actually acceptable behavior. So now you're not in the old neighborhood anymore. You're not in the projects. You're not living in a double wide. You're not over here anymore. You got a nice house. You got a paved driveway. But you're still functioning as if. Why? Being conditioned. We laugh and we say things, but we don't understand that all of us, at some point, are byproducts of conditioning. The issue is just, what have you been conditioned with or conditioned to that does not line up with the Bible? Because my question for you tonight is to think on where I came from. Why do I do what I do? And where did I get that from? What did Jesus say about whatever it is that I'm doing? And then I got to be willing to change what I'm doing to match what he said, not where I came from. I'm preaching real good right now. I told you I went out to the shout. Yeah, I gotta change. See, and if you never challenge what you do and how you do what you do, why you do it the way you do it. If you never challenge that and see if it lines up with the Word of God. See, even our money management, there's money management skills in the Bible. He says you don't buy something unless you first